I haven't lived in Queens very long. Just approaching 2 years now, but I've already stayed too long. I never really had any inclination to move to New York City after growing up in a rural suburb of Albany. Well, my fiance got decided to do a competitive graduate program, and, well, I wasn't going to let my living preferences get in the way of that. It took some time getting used to, for sure. Especially since my fiance was visiting family for the first 3 weeks I was here. He didn't live in the worst neighborhood, but we're still told by our building supervisor that it's better not to go out at night if you could avoid it. There was the occasional gun violence and a high rate of missing persons, so I got to know the neighborhood by wandering the streets during the day waiting to get a job. I soon fell in the hidden gems of our new community. And I learned an ice cream truck would park outside our apartment around 3 p.m. every day, and I made it a daily treat to stop by after our walk. I would get some ice cream and chat with the driver, giving me some much-needed socialization. The ice cream man or woman would change every 2 or 3 weeks, but they were always friendly. They would also pretty regularly offer me an application saying they needed new drivers. I had other more lucrative offers, but they asked each time, "Do you need a job? We always need new drivers." I always just chalked it up to friendless or desperation from the overworked, but I got to know a few of them and they soon recognized me as a regular and would have my order ready when they saw me in line. The biggest change, though, was the night. After spending 23 years of my life failing of sleep in the pitch dark with only the sounds of crickets and frogs lulling me to sleep, a constant noise and light kept me up pretty late the first few weeks of the summer being here. Those late nights up reading or playing a game where, when I first noticed something strange. Most nights I could hear the ice cream truck music playing as they drove around at 1 or 2 in the morning. My first instinct was that it was just on its way back to wherever they stored the trucks for the night. But my curiosity grew. After a week of hearing it drive around well after midnight, I brought it up to the driver. "Oh, that's something that we've picked up on this route. There's a lot of younger adults in the area and enough bars that if we're willing to stay out late, we can lure in 1 or 2 who are looking for a late night snack." It seemed reasonable enough for me, and it explained why the driver of the route changed so often. It was given to anyone who wanted to put the extra time in for tips. That was how things stayed for a while. I settled into my new environment and I still heard the ice cream truck working late. It wasn't until last week that I saw what was really happening. I was coming home late from work. A big project had kept me there until nearly 9 p.m. And by the time I stepped off the subway, it was nearly midnight. 2 blocks away from my apartment, I'd heard the telltale song of the ice cream truck and could see them sitting 1 block past my apartment. The thought of treating myself there for a long day sounded great. And since I had started working, I hadn't had a chance to chat with the drivers I had become friends with. There was the young couple staggering over from the bars, currently in line, and I stopped to make sure I had the cash on hand for my treat. While I was fumbling with my wallet, I had heard a scream. My eyes shut up to see something that took me precious moments to comprehend. The woman was halfway through the serving window, screaming and struggling against something pulling her in. Her date had managed to grab onto her leg and was trying to pull her back out. Thinking someone was trying to abduct her, I started to run forward to help when I saw the roof of the truck come crushing down on her leg, and a terrible crunch echoed down the empty street. The man stumbled back holding her severed leg. He started screaming and tossed the leg into the street as he ran. I dove into the nearest pile of trash, stifling my own scream, not wanting whatever thing was in that truck to notice me. The screams of the victims, they grew fainter, and I could hear them running away from me. Not daring to move, I sat in my neighbor's trash, nearly gagging from the stench I was hyperventilating for what felt like hours. It was probably closer to minutes later, I heard the truck pulling away, following after the man who had fled. As soon as it turned down the street I had last seen him go, I ran as fast as I ever had before. Keys shaking in my hand as I desperately tried to get my door open. I didn't think I would sleep that night, which became a surety after I heard the scream pierce the night and I knew the ice cream truck had caught up with its second victim. I didn't hear the music the rest of the night, and I swore to myself I would never walk on the same side of the street as an ice cream truck again, let alone interact with one. I told Abby the next morning, but she just laughed it off as a nightmare. An ice cream man adopting people? Sure, that's just New York. Real ice cream truck massacring people and biting off body parts? That's too much sugar late night. And as she didn't believe me, I didn't see myself having much luck with the cops. I was able to keep my promise for a whole 3 days, avoiding the trunk when I saw it and just trying to ignore what I saw. All until my fiancée finished a big test and wanted to reward herself. She called me when she got home, asked me to come to the lobby. The ice cream truck was parked across the street and she wanted to celebrate. I tried talking her around of it, saying I'd buy her Ben & Jerry's from the shop down the street, or drive her to the nearest Cold Stone Creamery. She was adamant. All she wanted was the fudge bar. With no good excuse as to why we couldn't, my numb legs carried me across the street. I pushed my resolve to get in, bite ice cream, and get away without letting anything happen to either of us. They were greeted by a smiling young woman who asked us what we wanted. I ordered the fudge bar, making sure to position myself between the window and Abby at all times. As I reached for my shaking hand out to pass the money and take the ice cream, the bar slipped between my fingers and fell behind the counter. The driver had already turned to her register, so I quickly reached over the counter to grab it and be on her way. But as I did, I got a glimpse below her waist. And I froze, knowing what I saw would never leave me. Her right leg was gone. No prosthetics, no bandages. Just a rough stump covered in dry blood, and hanging up from the floor to her back was a fleshly tendril that originated from the floor of the truck, puppeteering her. I must have stood frozen for a solid minute, and only came to when Abby started pulling me away. I looked to see the ice cream woman, the dead woman, the puppet, the lure, smiling at me. Job offer still stands. We're always looking for new drivers. It's been 3 days since, and every night I hear the music playing, and now it always stops outside my building playing its familiar song for me to hear. I stay inside at night now, refusing my plans that would keep me out past sundown. It knows. I've seen it. And I know it doesn't like that. It doesn't want witnesses. It doesn't want anyone warning others away. I hoped it would leave me alone once we move. I haven't told anyone about this until now, hoping to prove my silence, but Sunday was Mother's Day, and in my parents' row house, I'd heard the familiar music driving up and down the street. It's not going to stop following me. Not until it had me. So everyone who will listen will know it's secret. I don't know if it's one of a kind or an epidemic across the country. But if you live in Queens, or just want to be safe, buy your ice cream at the store.